until then, they wanted to talk about refs, texts, tauntings, everything else while she was averaging 27 and 7.
Right there. That is mind-boggling how you just did that.
Being the best player on the court at all times. That's what happens with players when they go to other places. Look at somebody like Kobe Bryant.
These other athletes you were, Kobe was playing now in his peak right now.
All of the, you just gave me the
Friday night when he texted about that. You mentioned that.
Down. Everybody just
here's what I'm gonna say to that.
That's not true. What you just said. They said they struggle with.
And here's what I'm gonna say.
I'm talking about the links.
I think the Fever.
Right out of the gate, Maurice pushes back hard on the idea that Iowa didn't prepare Clark for the WNBA, pointing out she carried real, nightly pressure to deliver for her team in a way some of her peers, like Paige Buchers at UConn, simply didn't have to. That's a fair, substantive basketball argument about roster construction and pressure, not just a hot take.
Nothing matters until it's only a story when she does not play up to your standard. It's been proven.
If she had a 45-point double-double yesterday against Minnesota, I guarantee you that BR would be talking about today. I guarantee you that we'd be talking about that. But let me say something, because I don't want this to slip by, because I know Maurice realizes this, and it's to Jason's point here. When he said something about the free throws Friday night, when he texted about that, you mentioned that. And you know where I'm going to. Here's my...
This is a preview. And here's the actual media criticism angle driving this whole segment. The claim that Fearless went an entire 10-show stretch, from mid-July into early August, without playing a single Caitlin Clark highlight while she was averaging 29 points and 9 assists a game. That's a specific, checkable claim about editorial choices, not just vibes.
Sitting in my phone, what was your score prediction yesterday?
I was rooting for the Fever. Of course I'm rooting for Caitlin Clark and the Fever to win.
Who you were rooting for. I said, what's your prediction? And you put a score in that the Fever were going to win.
I cannot pick another team when it comes to you. Yeah, there's no way I could suffer like that to you. No.
The 45-point, 10-assist double-double reference here is completely real. Clark set that mark on July 17th against Seattle, the first 40-10 game in WNBA history, and it's confirmed by ESPN, Yahoo, and the league's own site. If a real historic performance like that doesn't get discussed on a major sports debate show, that's a legitimate editorial choice worth questioning.
I mean, they've been playing to go to the Final Four for decades. I mean, you go back to the 80s when C. Vivian Springer was the coach there. I mean, they would won the Elite Eight after that. I mean, Iowa's been a really good program. It's not UConn. It's not South Carolina. But Iowa's always been a real good program. Listen, in order to change its players, it's got nothing to do with the coach. The players got to agree to be coached. The way Tim Duncan was, the way those guys in San Antonio was. That's how that works. I mean, with Caitlin Clark, Maurice, let me respond to your question here, to your comment. No, you missed the whole point of what Jason was saying.
The frustration about fan-signed discourse getting more airtime than a 32-point, 11-assist game is a real, specific media priorities complaint, and it's the kind of thing that's genuinely worth holding a national sports show accountable for, regardless of how you feel about Clark personally.
Man, I want this woman to be successful, and I'm just trying to point out, like, hey, I'm trying to be a voice out there that balances what the cult says, because, Dre, I believe the cult does have an impact, and if Michael Jordan were playing now, and some of these other athletes Kobe was playing now in his peak right now, I think it would have some.
The stats cited here, a stretch shooting 55% from the floor, 46% from three, 90% from the line, is the kind of efficiency number that would dominate coverage for almost any other player in any other sport, and the pushback about it getting ignored until one below-average game happens is a fair, pattern-based critique of selective coverage.
It has no interest in boxing anyone out. She's just a spectator. And it's you can see it. It's like it's an effort thing. Hey, that's never been my jam. That's not what I did in high school. That wasn't a priority for me in college. and it's not a priority for her in the WNBA, and it is problematic. And she's such a gravitational force that she makes them a bad defensive team. That if
The free throw double standard call-out is worth sitting with, pointing out that Aja Wilson scored 36 points on 14 free throws with zero criticism about the volume, while Clark drawing contact gets framed as somehow suspicious, is exactly the kind of inconsistency that's fair to call out in real time.
They still got 100. They're on record pace. They're scoring 100 more than anybody in the history of the league. Guess what? They're giving up 100 more than anybody in the history of the league. They can't do it on the other end. Here's the problem. Here's the problem in a nutshell. And here's why I disagree with Jason when he said Caitlin should be the best guard on the court every time. But no, Olivia Miles has got the equal talent. She's a supernova too. Now, can Caitlin go play it? Caitlin may very well light her up the next time they play. All right. But
Oh, she will. We take names around here.
Dre's homeschooled analogy is actually a thoughtful basketball point once you get past the loaded label. The idea that some players who never face real adversity in college can get exposed once real competition arrives in the pros. It's a real basketball development theory, not an insult, even if the framing got heated in the moment.
Defense wins championships at the highest level of, let's just say, basketball. A lot of people can put the ball in the basket, and sometimes you have bad days putting the ball in the basket. I'm sure Charles knows this as a coach, but there's no such thing as a bad day on defense. If you can defend, you can beat anybody because eventually good players will make shots. But if you cannot stop a good player from making shots, you cannot win the championship because you're going to get beat. That's just the bottom line.
I'm going to agree, particularly on the defensive end, in terms of there are moments out there where you can legitimately question Caitlin.
The signal versus noise breakdown here is genuinely one of the smarter points in this whole segment. 3.9 million Instagram followers, a cult of supporters, and a cult of critics, and the argument that none of that actually matters compared to what happens on the court. That's solid, level-headed media advice for any athlete under this kind of scrutiny.
Everybody, hey, let's look. She scored 45 points against some trash team. I'm trying to say, well, that 45 points is going to shrink down to 18, 19, and some turnovers and some forced three-pointers when she really is under stress against Golden State, when she's really under stress against Minnesota. That's my shtick, to put you ahead of the conversation, not just to say, well, you know, it's incredible what she did here with the 45-point deal.
The Game of Thrones hate watch analogy is a fair defense of tough love criticism. The idea that pointing out flaws in something you genuinely care about isn't the same as hating it. Whether or not you buy that as a full defense of the specific commentary being discussed, it's a reasonable framework for how sports criticism is supposed to work.
Every night, I can't have 6 points like Paige Beckers and win games at UConn,
Wow.
And nobody talks about it. So unfortunately, for her, she had to live up to the bill and the merit every single night. But you know what, Jason? You never fail to amaze me. You, Charles, you guys never fail to amaze me. Hey, Hadley, are you behind this? I know my guy Hadley's not behind this. All of a sudden, on a random August 3rd.
The basketball analysis here is legitimate and stat supported. Indiana can run up the score against bottom feeder and middle of the pack teams while getting away with real defensive lapses, like the 16 offensive rebounds they gave up to Seattle, but they genuinely haven't beaten the league's upper echelon teams consistently this season. That's a real, fair critique independent of any media coverage debate.
The leader, Maurice.
No, I don't really see a problem outside of her on court. Well, she gets suspended for technical fouls, that's a problem. Obviously, that's a problem. But I haven't heard about any locker room issues with actual players.
The free throw pattern argument gets sharper here, pointing out Clark didn't shoot a single non-technical free throw in a specific recent game, then connecting it to a broader claim that officiating tightens up specifically against elite defensive teams like Minnesota. Calling specific officiating fraudulent is a strong opinionated word choice worth flagging as opinion rather than a proven fact, but the underlying pattern of inconsistent whistle rates by opponent is a real, trackable stat worth investigating further.
Double. Virgil, I didn't even get invited on the dang show the next day. It's insanity. It doesn't stop there, guys. Jason is incredible. Hadley, I feel like you have something to do with this. I'm going to call you after the show. A 32.7 assist game. You know what we talked about, Virgil? We talked about 12 people putting up signs for Sophie Cunningham. We talked about signs in the stands. We talked about an old overweight lady sitting in the front row as a plant. We never talk about the 32 points.
And the closing basketball breakdown is genuinely solid analysis, crediting Minnesota's ball screen defense, Cheryl Reeves' coaching, and real roster depth advantages, while still making the case that Indiana's top 3 talent can compete with anybody if everything clicks. That's a nuanced, credible take, not just a hot take for the sake of engagement.
The fearless producers don't learn how to find actual basketball highlights again. This is incredible. This is actually incredible. Virgil, check this out. It's August 3rd. July 17th. It's been 10 shows. I counted myself. During a 10-show stretch in which Caitlin Clark averaged 29 points and 9 assists, not a single highlight was played on this platform. It's insanity. And the point is proven over and over again. You would think, Virgil, after a 45-point